Welcome back to Two Canadians at Kafe Lise, Vigor podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Anton, and with me is
DJ Spencer.
And today we're talking about Grontheim Valley, and this is our 31st episode. So it's a new year, and we're getting right back into it with a map topic. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but it's good to go through the maps as and let everyone know, especially people who are maybe newer to the game and aren't quite as familiar with the maps. Doing these little map episodes is good, just so that they maybe will be made aware of things to look out for that you're not necessarily familiar with, or haven't run into yet.
Yep.
And it's filler. Just a little bit.
No. Like we've already done like a bunch of other maps, right?
Oh, so, yeah. No. It's good to do the maps for sure. And with the new one on the horizon, there's still a few maps that we haven't done. So
yeah, and next episode's probably going to be the season update, anyways, right? So,
yeah, I guess we'll see. We haven't heard anything. If everything's on schedule.
Yeah, as of tonight, I think we're 12 days left in the season, or 11, something like that.
And we're right in the middle of a double XP weekend when we're recording this. And I've been able to take a little bit of advantage of it. Hope I get some more taken care of, because I want to finish off my Xbox Battle Pass for sure, and then I won't finish my PlayStation Battle Pass off, but I need to get a little higher in it, and then I'll have to finish it during the Legacy seasons, just because I don't have the time to finish both this season. But
I finished this season's Battle Pass like 2 weeks ago with none of the boosters.
Oh, man, I can't imagine.
Well, I know a lot of people have done it before. It was a challenge I wanted to like give myself, and then I was like, oh, like once I'm done that, I'll use the Battle Pass code that I have. But then I'm like, you know what? I have Legacy season 3 left to do, and right there, I think I have like 3.5 levels left. So I'm going to keep on keeping on with the no boosters, and then hopefully get it done before the season's done, because I want to claim that Battle Pass code before the season's done.
Right. So, and I just finished. Yeah, I think it was today or last night during Double XP. I finished my Legacy season 4 season 2. So yeah, I just finished that one, and then I purchased Rivals, so I'm going to start Rivals now. And with Double XP, I should get a whole bunch of levels pretty quickly.
Yep.
Because the early levels are real quick, so it's nice.
Oh yeah. And once I'm done Legacy season 3, I'm done. Like literally everything. I was like, I wasn't sure about 4, and like, they released 4, and it's like, okay, I did do that one, and then 5, I was like, yeah, I'm confident I was done that one.
Definitely did 5.
Like, yeah. So it's like 5 came out Wednesday, and yep, I'm done. So
I might be too. Like after I finished Rivals, and I didn't have any of Rivals because I didn't start till 4. I might be done too once that one's done. I don't know if there's any season on Xbox where I didn't finish the season. So yeah, I guess I'll find out, but I'm pretty sure. PlayStation, there's a bunch of seasons I can still finish, but I at least already purchased all the battle passes for the ones that I did start. So it's just a matter of getting into them and finishing them. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Grontheim Valley.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll as we talk about it, I'll bring up the maps beside us as I've been doing. And there's a couple little locations which I'll also bring up just little clips as we're talking about them, so you can see them as well. So just to help. But yeah, we'll just get right into it. We'll talk about the different points of interest, what you can find at and around those locations, because this is a very spread out map. Like as I bring up the first POI, you'll see it's a very long map. There's exits, and they sort of there's exits at the end, each ends of the map, both sides of the river. There's like a river that runs right through it, a very fast river too, so you gotta be careful falling into it. There are locations where you can fall into this river, and you can almost literally get stuck in this. And there have been times where I spent the whole match just trying to free myself from like a log that I got stuck to, just so I could get out. And it was close. I
Yeah.
did it, but it was very close. So you gotta be really careful with this map. It's an 8-player map at the most. Maybe a
Yep.
little bit more if you're playing duos, trios. It might squeeze a ninth in there depending on how
Yep.
the distribution works out. And it's a map where if the alarm goes off, and you're not ready, you gotta like just book it for an exit.
Yeah. This map is like probably like the only one that I'll actually contemplate bringing in caffeine.
Caffeine and iodine
Just,
potentially.
just,
'Cause
just for that reason.
yeah. There's multiple times. Like if there's a map that I'm gonna die to radiation on, it's most likely gonna be this map.
Yep.
Just the way it is. Like if you're fighting with somebody and the alarm goes off, then you don't have much time to like loot them and get out. Try to get out because those exits are far. And yes, there is a
Yeah.
middle exit, and we'll talk about it as we get there. But that middle exit may not be an option for you, especially if you're heavy.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll just start at the top. The first one, Stream Crossing. It's it's a pretty straightforward. There's a little stream that goes down the hill to the river. There's a little bit around it.
Yeah.
If you go up, there's a little area, and I'm going to show it right now. It's one of the clips. One of the special areas. It's called everyone sort of calls it the murder cabin.
Yep.
It looks a little different depending on what system you're on. PlayStation, Xbox, it pretty much looks like this. On the Switch, it's sort of been sanitized. So
Oh,
it doesn't.
really?
Yeah, apparently That's what Seb
Mm,
Prasser, one of our viewers, was
no.
mentioning, that when you go into the cabin, it's just a cabin. There's none of this
There's no
little
blood?
extras, no blood, no extras.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
guess that might be the
poor
family.
Switch players. Oh
Yeah,
my
poor
god.
Switch players. Yeah, they don't get to see it. But yeah, it's an area like which is close to Stream Crossing. You can find a weapon, sometimes find weapon crates or some consumables around there. Not a lot.
Mm,
But yeah, so that's the murder cabin. So if you
yeah.
ever hear reference to it, that's the
Yeah.
general area of where it is.
And it like Doc's showing the clip,
Yeah.
and it like there's blood everywhere, right, on the teddy bear. And there's like tools to like skin people, and like you see it. There's like a mannequin where like and a sewing machine, so it's like clearly like it's almost like a Buffalo Bill type situation where and there's like missing people posters in there too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's pretty cool. And um, I guess maybe we should mention it. So for uh the second year anniversary,
Right. Yes.
right? So there was challenges, right? Both for like regular Outlanders and for the Vigor partners.
Yeah.
Now the Vigor partners had to get kills inside the murder shack,
Yeah.
while uh us regular Outlanders were lured by the devs by
With their
having to
big.
go take a picture
Yeah.
inside the murder cabin. So it's like we were like sheep
Lambs
sent
to the slaughter or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, that's it, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like it was fun though,
It
because it's like
was.
honestly like
Yeah.
you'll go once in a while and check it out, but it's like you'll never run into someone there most of the time,
No.
right? Because there's like a spawn like just like east of it.
Yeah. Just a little east of it. Yeah.
So it's like other than that, like the chances of running into someone there is like remote, but
Hmm. And
yeah.
in the area around it, like where you spawn, there's you can find food, lots of food on bushes, and that's
Mhm.
throughout the whole map. It's actually a decent map for looking for food. If you have a challenge where you
Yeah.
need to collect food, Thiel Canton's probably still the best because you'll get more food when you find it in a crate in Fiel Canton. But in this
Yeah.
map, there's a lot of bushes and feeders and such that have food in them. So
Yeah.
it's a good map for food. And then if you go down a bit to the river, you can see across to another location that we'll talk about in a moment. But there's also like a crossing there too. So there's a few different places across the river, and just down the stream. when you get to it, there's one there for crossing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the stream crossing. What's the next one?
The next one is Altar, and Altar again, like there's some food bushes, but aside from that, there's not
There's
a whole
not
lot.
much there. Yeah, there's a few locations on this map where we'll get to, and it's like, yeah, this is just the location, and there's
Yeah,
not much there.
yeah.
Unfortunately, Altar is one of them. It's just a little. You'll see there's a big rock, and then just at the base of the rock on one side, and I think it's closer to the north side. I don't remember exactly. There's like a little, not really quite a tent, but it's like a little fabricy kind of little covering over top of what's supposed to be an altar, I guess. So
Yeah.
altar to what? I don't know. But considering the murder cabin's not far away, might be something fishy.
Well, I wonder, like, so back in the day, Phil Canton, the church actually used to be called the Church of Surtur,
That's
so
true.
maybe that's
Yeah,
like related to it.
it could be.
But
Yeah,
that was before our time.
yeah. We never really looked into. I never really looked whole into the lore of it either. So I wonder if VSL, Vigor Secrets and Lore, have done some digging on that, or some speculation. Might be
Maybe.
worth checking out. After Altar is the Forester's Cabin. Again, it's just a cabin. It used to have one or two things around it, but nowadays I have not
Yeah.
seen anything there in a long time.
Yeah, it used to have like weapon crates, like, or a
Yeah,
weapon crate, or like a couple of containers, but
and maybe some
uh,
wire, but now it's like you go
yeah.
there, you start, and you'll spawn right by it, and there's nothing there. There's a little orchard just outside of it that's fenced off, and within that orchard, there's a dig spot. So if you ever see a dig
Mhm,
spot, and there's a couple different yellow house dig spots, and this um, one of them is sort of, you'll see trees and a yellow house and the river, and that's southern part of the map. This one, you'll just see the yellow house in the distance, and that'll be this Forester Cabin one. That's up here.
yep.
After Forester Cabin is,
The White Meadow.
yeah,
So it's like kind of an open area. You know, there's kind of like a little storage structure covered area where there's
yeah,
like, I think there's fertilizer, and of course, again, there's food everywhere.
yeah.
Um, you're not going to get much. It's like one or two per bush, but it's still there.
It's still there, and it seems like these areas, and this is like the northwest quadrant of Grontheim, where it's like a lot of um, a few buildings, but mostly just forest. And then the southern eastern part, again, it's mostly forest with a few little buildings and such. There's not a lot in those locations,
Mm-mm.
so it's like it's sort of almost. And this is the map I sort of refer to as a lightning bolt, because the other side of the river, when we get to it, that's where there's a whole bunch of stuff usually, and then it crosses the river around the middle and goes back down, almost like a little lightning bolt kind of
Yeah.
thing, where there's a lot of loot in that lightning bolt, but then the other two sides, not so much.
Yep.
So that, yeah, unfortunately, White Meadow, not a lot there, but there's a little bit.
Mhm.
Then we're going to cross the river and go over to the logistics depot. Few spawns around here, so if you're ever starting near
Yep.
here, be wary that there's could be one or two other people spawning close.
Mhm.
And quite often, if someone's really aggressive, if they spawn on the other side, they might run across the river to get over here too. So,
Or if they want good loot.
or if they want good loot, that's true. Yeah, because there's some decent loot here. At the logistics depot, you can find weapon crates. Within around the vehicles in the middle, you can find fuel, wire, even metal. There's a couple different warehouses, and there's the potential for a lockbox to spawn in either one. There's
Mhm.
a house. The house does have your standard kind of house
Yep.
loot, glass, fertilizer, that kind of thing. Just outside of this whole little fenced area, that's the logistics depot, is like a little parking area that has a few big trucks, and at that area is where you can get the timed safe, and it can
Mhm.
spawn in a few different locations and have switches in various locations around it.
Yep.
So it's a really good area to spawn. On the way back towards the exit up the top, sort of off into the mountains a little bit. There's a feeder, like one of those ones where you have to climb up to get into it, and sometimes there can be a lockbox in there too. So that's to be aware of, because there's also a spawn point near there. There's a bunch of little spawns, but a lot of good loot right in that area.
Yep. There's like a trailer too on the road that's pretty nice too.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot
You
about
get
the trailer.
some glass and forget what else in there, but that one usually has it's nice, like going away present. Really, if you're going out that exit.
Yeah. And the right behind the logistics depot is sort of a cliff face, and you can run along that cliff face, and you'll be pretty high up and have a good view down. So if you see someone down there, you should be, if you're ever down there, be aware that there could be people up there looking to snipe.
Yeah, actually, both sides. It's kind of like literally like we're talking about a valley, right? So like almost the whole map is shaped like a valley, right? So like you have ridges all along the side, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is a surprisingly good snipe map.
Yeah, there's a lot of good open views, because the way, like you said, the way it sort of rises up on the sides, you get a good on either side of the map. Really, you get a good view across the map.
And like personally, I prefer like the sniping opportunities on the southern side. Even like the most southern spawn points, it's pretty fun because you could snipe across the river all the way to the houses and whatnot, and it is amazing. But yeah. Oh, and there's also a dig spot just north of the depot or logistics depot.
Just on the other side of the fence, in by some bushes, there's a dig spot. That's right. Yeah, there's various dig spots around this map, and yeah, that's good to keep in mind.
Yep, for sure. So just a little south of Logistics Depot is one of the actual named crossings. This is Trail Bridge. So it's a wooden bridge that's actually open on one side, which is actually kind of a good idea because if you're trying to cross and you have people on either side, you could literally jump into the river and maybe try to escape.
Yeah, it could also be to your detriment though too, because if you get stuck in the river, you might be stuck down there, and they could just come up there and then shoot down at you and take you off.
You got to go downstream, and hopefully you're close to the sides. You don't want to be in the middle. So but yeah, so there you have there's a couple of wire boxes on each end, and then one usually in the middle. And on the side on the eastern side, just south of Logistics Depot, you could get locked container there. That one's a little. No, I wouldn't even say it's just that one, but a lot of the locked containers on Valley, they're usually close to like an elevated area, so you may have people kind of like waiting, watching container and trying to wait for someone to come and loot the container. So just keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, the containers in this map, I do the opportunistic approach. If I start close to one, then yeah, maybe I'll run for it and try to open it and get in and get out. But if I'm not, then I'm probably not going to go near it, because I don't know who's.
You definitely need to port when you get close.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is, like, I've been there a couple of times where I port and I find someone and I deal with them, but then I go to get the container, and then there was another guy.
There's someone else,
and I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I did all the work.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like, yeah, the people could be up in the hills watching it, but there's also a really big rock right next to the trail crossing, that people can get up on top of, and they like to snipe across the river, but also potentially snipe down.
Yep.
So
it's almost like a watchtower, essentially.
Yeah, almost. There's a lot of high places in this map, not just naturally, but also built. Like when we talk about where you can find signals on this map, all the signals are up something. So there's no signals where you just run up to the signal and use it. You have to climb to get to it. So
yeah, it's oh my god, it's
a weird map.
Honestly, it's like a risk reward type thing, right?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Okay. And you mentioned the hills have eyes. We said that for like Phil Canton. This one does too.
Yeah, this one's definitely has it. Yeah.
Anyways.
After Trail Bridge is the B yard. The B yard is an interesting one, sort of in between B yard and White Meadow. There could be one of those signals we're talking about, but it's up in a lookout tower. So
Mhm.
you'll see a lookup tower. You have to get up there to use signals, and of course you're vulnerable as you're going up and down that ladder.
Yep.
And then just to the east of that signals I'm talking about can be a disruptive tower sometimes. That's on the ground, luckily. The disruptive towers and the comm stations are all easy to get to. It's just signals
Mhm.
where you have to climb to get to them. But B Yard itself is good. It has 3 different cabins. There's also like a little shed. The cabins can have all the different standard cabin loot, glass, fertilizer, that kind of stuff. Sometimes lock boxes in 1 or 2, and um, the bard house can spawn here. I
Yep.
don't know if there's this particular house that spawns in, or if it can spawn in any of the houses.
I think it's usually the second one, the middle one.
Yeah, the middle one. Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be. Yeah. So, but yeah, Bard House can spawn here. So it has that. And then there's other various loot you can find near it. There's also a dig spot just outside the second house as well, just up into the hill right next to it a little bit. So that's when you might run into. And down in the just past the bees, I think, do they still spawn a little bit of food? It's been a while since I've looked.
Actually, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
don't,
either. They
I'm
used
not
to
sure.
spawn like
Yeah.
you used to be able to hit a beehive and sometimes get some food. So 1 or
Yeah, like
2
one or
food out of
two.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they might still do that, and sometimes you can find chems there. And then in the there's like a little trail that has rocks around it. There's a potential dig spot there too. So that's all around B yard. So B yard's a good place to spawn because there's potential for a lot of stuff there.
Yep. Next, we're making our way downtown.
Yeah,
All right.
downtown.
Anyways, restaurant on the eastern side of the river. You could get like pretty much everything. Like in the building itself, it's like your typical restaurant
Yeah,
building. There's a lot less than what you would find at other buildings on different maps, but you can still kind of get the usual suspects. There's a lot of buildings all around that side of the map. Um, but yeah, you can get like electronics basically and uh, glass. Pretty much everything is just spread out.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and like so just outside the restaurant, like on the picnic table, you get a comm station. There's a disruptor tower that's just like north of that. If you go
Is it
just
north
south,
or is
there
it south of it? I can't remember.
it's on the north side.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, south is where the comm station is because that's where
Oh,
you
okay.
start getting the tents.
Right.
Um, yeah, so like
There could be a Bard house
there's like
next to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like to the north, there's a house that could be Bard house. There's like across the street there's like a potential Bard house. Um, yeah, there's a lot like downtown.
Yeah. This whole little town area is a ton. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I say this all the time. One thing that frustrates me with like Grontheim is the loot because you go into a house that you go on any other map and you would go into this house and out of a drawer you would get like 3 or 4 glass.
Yeah. You'll
On
get like
Grontheim, you go,
one.
yeah, you go to the one to the house, same house, you get one, and even on a boosted lobby, like
Yeah.
the multiplier, you might get 2 or something.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, though, like I was thinking about it, the issue is like the overall loot value is the same across every map. The issue is that there's so many buildings that it's spread out even more. So
It's really
then
spread out. Yeah.
you really need to like put in work to like get some good loot. But some people don't mind that, right? Like I don't mind going into houses and it's just like it's
It is.
a lot of work. but
Yeah.
but
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like the loot is just so spread out on this map. And like I said, it's a really big map, but for so little people, right? For 8 people. And I know people have said, oh, it'd be great if you could have 12, but the devs have said, well, the problem with this particular map is, and a lot of it has to do with the water. The maps that have the rivers tend to be a bit harder on resources. And I think in
Mm,
particular this one, because this river runs so fast, it just really
yeah.
makes it so it's
It's
hard to
wide.
have.
It's wide. It's a deep river. It moves fast.
Yeah,
But like kind of mentioned it like last episode.
yeah,
Optimizations and like maybe they could do something about optimizing like that water. Or even there was a comment. Uh, why not maybe look at changing it into like maybe a snow map or freezing the river, and then that way maybe it
you could
doesn't
get a
use up
few.
as much resources. But
Yeah, get up to
anyway,
12 people or something. Yeah,
so
it'd be
yeah,
a good map for it for sure if they could figure it out. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a restaurant. Next is the next named crossing, which is Footbridge. It's a little wooden bridge goes between one of the house, like sort of a little parked area where there's like a boat, and then on the other side, on the western side, it's just a bit of an open area, not far from a big warehouse. So the footbridge, it can have nails, metal parts around it, but on the western side is a place where lock container can show up. And so again,
Yes.
that's another one of those highly contested areas. If lock containers there, be ready for some fighting.
Yeah. And that one too, like there's cash spots at both sides of the
Yeah,
bridge.
yeah,
And there's literally a spawn on the western side um of that bridge too. So
yeah.
and that'd be like one of those spawns where, like you said, Doc, like early on, if that's your spawn point and containers there, it's like boom, hit it quick and
Hit
then
it quick
get
and
out.
get out. Yeah. You know what? I think I don't know if we're. There's also a just to the south of that bridge is also a time safe. Um, I think we might have included it as part of the next
Yeah.
one, but I think it's sort of in between. So you could almost be say it's part of this one, but yeah, there's a time safe right close to there too,
Yeah.
because the time safe can spawn in a couple different locations, and one of the ones is in the little equipment area, just by it.
Yeah. There's a bunch of like storage bins and stuff like that. That's why
Yeah,
like I was kind of going to keep it with the warehouse.
yeah, but then I was just sort of thinking, well, it's kind of really close to this one, but yeah.
Yeah.
But the next one is,
The warehouse.
yeah, which, like we said,
So yeah.
has that time vault, but it could also be another location, I think, too.
Yeah, it could be inside as well, and there's
Yeah,
there's like a couple of spots inside that it can be because it could actually be in like one of those like rooms, or actually two of the rooms,
yeah,
and then it could also be on top where you actually have to run across like wooden planks to go
that's
get it,
right. Yeah,
right?
you go up to like
So
almost the third level of the warehouse, and then yeah, there's some
yeah,
planks you can cross. Yeah,
yeah. So you have to like jump over like the railing and then snake your way around, which can be interesting and fun. There's also a comm station in there. There's a little bit of loot in there, not too much,
yeah,
but there is like three, maybe four weapon crates around, and even there's like a truck, like a dump truck that usually has like a shotgun or a weapon.
yeah,
As well. Sometimes there's like a portable or like little consumable tool in there as well. Um, but yeah, it's a nice little spot. But again, like there's the spawn point just like northwest, and there's one too that's kind of like close to southwest as well. And typically, again, if like Bard House, you could actually get like Bard House and Time Vault there. So
yeah,
it's going to be super busy. Oh, also signals on the roof.
yeah. And that's
Right.
a hard one to get to too, because you have to climb on the outside of the warehouse to get to it.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
really exposed on that one. It's a
Yeah.
metal ladder though, so when you're coming down the ladder, you can slide down it really quickly.
Yes.
But getting up there,
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you want to kind of be a little mindful.
yeah,
I like to kind of turn my camera around so I can see behind me type thing. Um, but
yeah.
yeah,
I rarely go up on that one, just because it's like I feel so exposed there.
yeah, yeah. For me, it's all situational type thing. Um,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
And then yeah, you did mention that there's Bard House here, but and it can be a couple different locations. Like it could be in one of the little rooms, but there's
yeah,
also a special little baby bard. which is in like
Yeah.
on the main floor in the toilet. One of the
In
toilets
the
can have
loo.
the safe
Yeah.
in it. I've only ever seen it, I think, in a watching someone once. I've never actually been to it
It
when it's been that one myself.
I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while since I've had that one.
Yeah.
Uh, it like, yeah, it's been a while since I've had it, so hopefully it's still there because it is kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember. Well, it's probably been at least a month and a half or so that since I've seen someone go to it.
Yeah,
So I'm assuming it still shows up. It's just, you know, one of those
yeah,
things.
yep,
After warehouse is across the river again, back in the main area called the shop. And the shop is one of the locations where you can only get a particular lighter. There's one lighter that only shows up on this map, and it's called the Northern House lighter.
yeah,
And it's like a lighter that has like the flag on the lid, and it has a picture of a house, and I think it looks like your shelter, so it might be your
mhm,
shelter on there.
listen,
And yeah, and it shows up in this shop. I believe myself, I've seen it at the restaurant as well, but I'm not 100% sure. So it
yeah,
potentially might show up at the restaurant, but for sure it shows up at this shop.
mhm,
Other stuff you can find at the shop, just around it or in it. Nearby is always chemicals, but it's also those chemicals are kind of exposed because they're right by the river and you can see across the river really well. So if someone's over there, they might be looking at you.
yeah,
There's wire, other consumables like there's some like a medicine box just near the entrance of the shop. Um, and then yeah, I think just across the street from the shop, there's also a potential pump station. It
yeah,
might be just down a little bit from it.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's like next to like an RV type thing,
Yeah,
and
I
it's like
think you're right.
tinted up, and then it's
Yeah,
like right there.
yeah. But yeah, that's the shop. And we haven't mentioned it. Records can spawn on this map. They can spawn pretty much anywhere, and there's no particular record. Like records when they spawn could be any
No,
record on any map. So
yeah,
if you're looking for albums, just check. You'll hear them before you see them. So just
yeah, the
keep your
little
ear open.
scratchy noise.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like it should be noted, like the lighters too. They're I don't know if it's still that way, but originally the lighters used to be one per map, so it wasn't
right.
necessarily the Northern House lighter that was spawning here at the shop. It could have been like a common one, like the Vigor lighter, a Disco lighter, or the Tomato lighter,
Yeah,
and that was anywhere. I don't know if they changed the spawn rates since then, but
yeah,
yeah. So it's kind of like luck of the draw almost, if that shop lighter is actually going to be there.
right. Yeah, it may take you a few visits, definitely. So, and it helps if maybe like Grontheim's the featured map at some point in the future. It has been in the past, so you never know in the future. Maybe it'll become the featured map again, and then
Yeah,
you can grind it, try to get the lighter if you don't have it yet. But
yeah,
for now, it comes up fairly regularly now in the current rotation, so you have chances.
yep.
After shop,
The road bridge. So this is another named crossing. So this is an actual like road bridge where there's cars. Honestly, like this is probably like one of the best spots to pick up
hmm
like consumable tools like ports, mortars, transmitters, jammers, whatnot. Like literally, like out of all of Vigor, this is probably one of the best spots. Like aside from the mortar truck on battery, like
yeah,
this is just fantastic because there's like 4 or 5 vehicles right on the bridge that you could loot, and they all seemingly have good stuff. You get electronics wire as well. Um, Now, just to the east of it, um, there's like a red house at the end of the road,
yeah,
and that house. So there's a disruptor tower on top of the hill next to the house, and then that house could have in or around the time safe. Bard house can be there too. Sometimes there's like a comm station right about there too. Lock container is just like south of like the bridge. So like literally like you
on
jump
the
off the road,
beach.
boom. Yeah, right
Yeah,
there, the beach. Um, should mention actually, on the western side, Cafe Lise is there. And
Yep.
we forgot Kafe Lise is also across from the store as well. So,
Yeah, there's a couple. That's right.
yeah. So this map does have 2 Kafe Lises.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
And also be aware that all the vehicles on the bridge are potential to be alarmed. Because where you have like the big heavy vehicles that don't have alarms, all of the ones that are on here that you can get good stuff out of have a chance to go off. So if you're worried about triggering an alarm and then having attention drawn to you, just
That's
risk
worth it.
reward.
No, 100% full send. Do it. Loot all.
Yeah. I always loot everything anyways. I don't care if
I
I
love
set off alarms.
I love finding like a fake glint. It's like I pick it up and then I just like put it down right away and it's like there.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, that's the road bridge.
Yeah, and then we didn't mention it, but just to the west of the road bridge is where the one middle exit is. And we can talk about that exit now, and that's the mountain. I guess is it called the mountain jump or the valley jump exit? And it
I didn't even know if it had a technical name to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it has an actual name, but it's you have to climb a couple ladders. I'll have the video up now, and it tells you go up, and so you have to go up, and then there's some doubt, fear, or whatever, like don't doubt or something like that.
Fear,
disbelief, doubt,
disbelief. Fear, doubt, disbelief.
That's right.
And then
it's a tough one.
Yeah, just before you jump, it says don't do it.
Yeah. But this is the one where if you have if you have a lot of weight on you, you're not going to make it. If it's a weighted crate, if you just have a lot of weapons and you've been looting like crazy, you're not going to make it. If you really have to use this one, delete a bunch of stuff because you're not going to make it if you're too heavy.
You need to have like 90% of your stamina or 85. Like you can't have a whole lot gone because otherwise, and like I'm getting close to 2 years playing this game, and honestly, I'm still like rolling the dice if I go to that exit. And I'm like, as a veteran player, I guess at this point I'm a veteran player. I'm like, I probably shouldn't be this bad at making that jump, but like I want to say it's like a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. And I never use this jump. I only used it for the video just because I wanted to get a pick of it. So I made sure I wasn't too heavy. I happened to pick up a crate off of somebody just as I was getting to this one. Now this is one we don't show it in the clip here, but where you can actually sabotage it. So if you go up the first ladder, you can cut the ropes for that ladder and it'll fall. And then no one can get up there. And so if you don't make your jump, you're not getting back up there. Well, it depends on how you fall. Sometimes if you fall right, you might be able to climb your way around the side, but it's tough.
Yeah,
most likely
as long as
you're
you
not
don't fall all the way.
Yeah.
But and like really, you have 2 shots, maybe 3 shots if you don't make the jump. From the fall damage type thing. So you definitely got to be careful.
Yeah, you definitely have to try with that one. But it's a neat exit, that's for sure. It's unique.
Yeah. I made a meme at one point. I was telling Doc about it.
Oh yeah.
So it's the guy sitting at the like table in the park or whatever, and it's like the change my mind type thing. And I wrote Grontheim Valley is the worst exit in Vigor. Change my mind. And I was like, I'm still convinced it's the worst one. It is. Yeah.
It's a rough one for sure.
It is.
So yeah, that's all about what's in around Roadbridge. Next is the chapel. The chapel is just to the south of the road bridge a bit. There's a couple houses, and then there's the chapel on the road. It's it's the same kind of setup of a chapel that like you see on Fjallcanton. It can have a comm station right in the chapel. It really good for consumables, especially in the rectory area where the bed and stuff is. There's quite a bit of consumables there.
Mm-hmm.
You can find a lockbox in the chapel on occasion, but you'll also have a good chance of finding the lockbox in the little shed beside it.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff around the chapel. The lock container can spawn just outside the shed of the chapel as well on the road. And there's also a dig spot in the graveyard. So if you ever see a picture of a grave with a dig spot, that's right there.
Yeah. Third one from the
Yeah.
road next to the shed.
Yeah. Yeah, on the
And
shed side. Yeah.
kind of like it's kind of between there and the road bridge. If you go up the hill, there's like a long driveway, and that house actually can have the time safe as well.
Yeah, that's right. The time
It-
safe can be at that house, yeah.
and there, yeah, it's hard, right? Because there's some of these like barred houses and time safes that aren't actually at a POI, but
Yeah.
so
But
it's
they're
hard
close
to
to
organize.
one,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like there's a barred house too, like just south of that one, but it's like there's no POI
Yeah,
close to
again,
the
no POI that you can really reference with it, yeah.
so um
And there's a bunch of little houses and other up in the hills a
yeah.
little bit too. There's some dig spots outside this chapel as well. There's a field, sort of like almost a field, kind of. Yeah, it is a field, um, by the river, and then there's a trailer right in the middle of that field. And by the hitch of that trailer is another dig spot.
Yep.
So again, a bunch of little stuff that happens around this chapel. Yeah,
Yep. So if you cross the river basically from that trailer, the next POI is the deer feeder, and it's just your typical feeder where you get food, and then there's like a nail container and metal parts container. Um, Not much else. Like you could spawn or you could drop the airdrop there,
yeah,
but it's like it's a wooded area. There's like hills, like mountain ledges, like on both sides, so it's like a little
yeah.
sketchy, but that's pretty much it for that.
Yeah, and there's
But
like 4 POIs on this side of the map, and this is the side of the map again where it's a lot of food and a few little things, but not a lot of stuff because you're out of the main town again. Yeah.
yep.
After the deer feeder is on the same side of the map is the cabin ruin. That one's like right on the river. So it's one of those ones where you're a little bit exposed if you're running around it. But you'll
Mhm.
find nails and metal parts around it. There's a dig spot just to the south of it near some rocks. And you have like a good view towards a watchtower from that dig spot. And if you ever see the picture for it, it's just sort of to the south of that cabin ruin. And this is also an area that has a crossing, a non-labeled crossing just across a bunch of rocks and such
Mhm.
is right around here.
Yep. And that tower you mentioned has a signal tower.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's like right in the middle of the
Yeah.
area that doesn't have much, but yeah, and it's up on a big rock. Then there's the signal tower, and you have to climb all the way up to. And so it's really exposed one. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, it is.
it is.
Um, that was cabin ruin. So
Yeah,
carpentry. So carpentry. This is actually a nice little spot. You can get
yeah,
quite a bit chemicals, nails, metal parts, fuel. I think maybe even glass in the little building,
I
and
think so.
the cabinet sometimes has a shotgun. I think um, you could get a lockbox, kind of like in the covered porch area, or even inside the. There's like a small, tiny little shed.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes.
you could get a lockbox there sometimes, and you could actually get lock container right there as well.
Yeah,
So, nice little
yeah.
spot. And then actually, we don't have this in the notes, but Disruptor actually spawns a little north of there too. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
so,
And, there's also a few dig spots near it too, like, if you go to the
mhm,
back up, north a bit, before you start getting to the houses, there's, like, a little area where you can find fertilizer, and just to the side of that area, where there's some logs and such, there can be a dig spot there. And then just to the south of Carpentry, when you start going up the hills, there's a few spots in the hills where there's dig spots. Yeah. But yeah,
yep,
Carpentry is a good little area to start near. Um
yep,
After Carpentry, just closer to the river now is the old Berth.
yep.
Nothing really there. If anything ever
Oh,
spawns there, I
yeah. Actually, if you there's a truck on the
yeah.
road right next to it, you get electronics out of there.
Yeah, so
Um,
yeah, just on the way to the old Berth, yeah, you can maybe find some stuff, but at the old
yeah.
Berth itself, you're not going to find anything. There's another crossing just south of Old Berth a little bit, because Old Berth is sort of in between two makeshift crossings. The one we
Hmm.
mentioned at the cabin ruin, and then just south a bit, there's another one with some logs that you can get across with.
Yep. Don't
That was
get caught
old
on the
Berth.
branches.
Yeah, yeah, another one you can get stuck on. Yeah,
Next is spring. So spring, literally it's like a spring where water comes out. Um, there's actually some chemicals there, and then there's almost it's like a little picnic area.
yeah.
But yeah, there's aside from that, there's like a little bit of food. But you're close to that tower that Doc just mentioned,
Where
where
signals can
signals can
be.
be.
Yeah,
But aside from that, there's not a whole lot. If you follow the spring, it'll actually bring you to that crossing Doc was just talking about,
yeah, with the
which
logs.
you could,
Yeah,
yeah, which you could run across. And if you really want, there's much better loot on that side of the river at this point of the map, type thing.
yeah. Um, Second last but not least, the Roadblock. It's the last one on this side of the river, which is I guess, the eastern side, because the river very circular. Um,
Yeah.
but it's the Roadblock. The Roadblock is a bunch of vehicles around it, and you can get stuff out of the vehicles, like fuel, electronics, metal, that kind of stuff. Um, on this side of the river, there's a couple houses. There's one right by the Roadblock, right on the, not the right on the road, that has a few different buildings. There's like a house, a big garage, and then a shed behind it.
Hmm.
That one can have a bit of loot in it, because there's quite a bit of spots around it. A little bit of
Yep.
everything for loot in that house, including chems on the outside, I think sometimes.
Hmm.
And then there's another house you can start at on the other side of the road into the hills a little bit, because it has a little driveway up to it, that has a dig spot near it. Um, and it can have a few little things in there. Potentially a lockbox, on the but I'm not
Yep.
100% sure. I think
On the
so.
yeah, yeah, on the balcony.
Yeah, on the balcony, there can be a lockbox, and
Yep.
there's also a feeder not far from that house, into the hills a little bit, going back towards Carpentry, that can, sometimes have the lockbox. So, and food around it, lots of food, dig spots. There's a dig spot by the tree of this house,
Yep.
and then I think in the hills there could be some more dig spots. So.
Yep.
So that's everything basically around Roadblock. I guess there's one more house on this side of the river too, near
Yep.
the river exit. It's a yellow
Yep.
house. There can be a dig spot up the river a bit in the trees.
Hmm.
A little bit of stuff in that house sometimes, not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll find a shotgun there actually in
Oh,
in
okay.
the dresser type thing. So
Yeah,
uh,
I rarely ever go to that house unless there's
yeah.
a reason to go over there. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Like I started going there if like I'm going out that exit. So like a lot of
Yeah.
you mentioned river exit. Like a lot of people don't realize this because it's not marked on the map, right? Because the exits are
Yeah.
like marked like on the road or on the other side. It's like right on the other side of the river. But you could actually exit if you go far enough along the river there at that end. So
Yeah.
like a lot of times what I'll do is if I know no one's behind me and like I got time to loot, I'll hit that house and then check it out. Um, or if I know someone's camping the other exit, I hear the crows. Not all the time. Usually they're on like the western side of the road
Yeah.
of the exit. So I just take it wide, go east towards the river, and then hit the house and then go down. Because after that, it's like by the time they realize what's going on,
Yeah.
it's too late anyways. So yeah, just good to know for like the listeners. You could actually exit there, just keep going along the river, and then boom, you're safe.
There's actually several spots on that side where you can exit without having to go on the road. Like you mentioned,
Yeah,
going to the river, but if you go, more to I don't know if you want to call it the south and west, there's even some little cubbies where
yeah,
if you hit it right, the countdown will start and
yeah,
you'll be able to exit.
yeah. Like if you're not on the oh my god, what is it called there? Like a guardrail. So if you're on the
Yeah,
other side of the guardrail type thing, yeah, there's like a little like triangular area type thing where, but like that, like in my case, it's like I said, if someone's on the western side of the road type thing, like you're still somewhat vulnerable. You have a little bit of cover, but like I'd
yeah.
rather not chance it, and that's why go right there. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're right. There is that other spot too.
And there's quite often when I'm running for this exit, sometimes I'm running up in the hills, and I'll run around and then come down towards the road, and then I'll try to just catch one of those little cubby ones where you just sort of tuck in and exit without exposing myself too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then last but not least is
The forest camp.
yeah.
So forest camp, fantastic little spot, especially if you're doing a like zero to hero type run, because there's quite a few weapon crates where it's like some of them you could actually get 2 weapons out of. You get nails, metal parts, and food. Um, but yeah, that's it. But nice little spot, like I mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'll definitely at least get like a shotgun, or maybe if you're lucky, you might get like a carbine or something. And
I
then
think you
usually
get
like a
Mosins
pistol.
too. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good little spot. Like you said, especially if you're running without weapons and you spawn near it, then just go for it and grab whatever you can.
yep.
Yeah, and that's
So
all the different locations for Grontheim.
yeah, so like I mentioned, uh, I like I used to not like Grontheim personally, because for a lot of the reasons you stipulated earlier.
Yeah.
Because like honestly, if you get one of the northern or southern spawns, honestly, it's like an Outlander running simulator, where it just feels like you're running a lot.
Yep.
Um, and like I said before too, like the loot itself, there's so many buildings that it's so spread out, that like the loot value is the same as every other map. Is just you have to work at it. Um, but the one thing that like I really like about Grontheim, and like I said, I used to not like it, but it's actually grown quite a bit on me, is if I'm having a rough night in the Outlands and Grontheim comes up, I'm going to Grontheim.
Mhm.
Just because it's quieter, it's not as sweaty. Um, it could be somewhat of a quiet game, but you still get like 1-2 kills or whatever, and it's like a confidence booster type thing.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I actually like kind of it's grown on me, and it again like I've learned, if I want to get some loot, I need to work for it, and that's what I do. And if I want to get kills, I can try to get kills. Like so,
It's definitely a fun map. It can be a fun
yeah,
map. You just have to be aware of your surroundings, like with most maps, really. But
yeah,
when the timer goes off, start
yeah.
heading for
Oh,
the
yeah.
exit.
I,
If
I've
you're
I've left crates behind because it's
Yep.
like I'm like, nope, I don't have time. I know I have to get out and just book it, and yeah,
Yeah, because if you're on the western side, it's a long trek. Not so bad, really, if you're on like the eastern side,
yeah,
just because you're already close. It's a little bit shorter run, and you can get to one of those exits a little bit quicker. But yeah, caffeine's your friend for sure. If you find some of that, you're golden.
oh yeah. Yeah, and like I
Yeah.
said, this is one of the only maps that I'll actually consider bringing in caffeine. Otherwise, like, uh, I don't really use caffeine, but yeah, this is
If
the
I
one that
have it,
I'll
I'll
actually
use it.
think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
especially
definitely.
if
If
I'm
I have
carrying
it,
a
I
lot of
use it.
loot.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Yeah.
try to keep my iodine as much as I can. So, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's Grontheim Valley. So it's a interesting map. Fun. It has potential if they ever get to the point where maybe their servers can handle more load. Then it'd be great to have more people in it. But again, if they ever decide, like people like one of our uh, viewers said is if they went like a winter version of it where they froze the river or something, so maybe it was less intensive on the processors, then yeah, that'd be
yeah,
really fun to try
yeah,
that out.
yeah. And there was I know there was an idea floated out by G40 Chris, who's a Vigor partner. He suggested maybe like even moving out like some of the POIs or loot events, just because everything is usually super concentrated
That's
in the
true.
middle, right? Um, and then that way maybe you get more people to like spread out, or head north or south or whatnot, instead of everyone just congregating to one spot. But
Yeah.
um, and it wouldn't feel as much running as before. But anyways,
They could
I
also,
kind of agree, because
yeah,
there's a lot of, like, we went through all the POIs, right? And there's some that literally, like, it's a POI and it's nothing, right?
yeah.
So
It's also one, if they ever wanted to, they could even put a boat exit into it if they really wanted to, right? One where you had to pay
oh yeah,
fuel or something to get out,
yep.
because there
There's a
are
couple of
boats around
docks.
there. Yeah.
Yep.
Put it right on the pier somewhere. Should be dangerous, to be a chance, but maybe a way to
Oh,
get out.
you know what though? I was just thinking about it. The southern exit, if you go all the way to the end, it's actually dammed off.
Yeah, that's true.
It is. Oh, and I believe they mentioned it on the dev stream. Valley leads into the new dam map or
Ooh,
sawmill. I forget which one. I think it's sawmill.
yeah. What
But
would be really
anyway,
cool? To get like an overall map, not like a map
ooh,
to play on, but to
yeah, yeah.
see where everything sort of falls into place with each other.
Oh, you know what? If you go in your shelter, right, you have that big map on the wall. What if
Yeah,
they had pins on which map, which where was what
yeah,
type thing? So
that'd be
like
cool.
Grontheim is orange pin or whatever.
Yeah, and
And
Fisk is this one over here, and
yeah.
oh,
Oh,
that'd be neat.
that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, actually, little thing. I was talking to Doc about this, but I was looking at an old map uh, coming up before we started recording,
Yeah.
and actually, this used to have 21 POIs. It currently has 20. It used to have 21. So the houses just south of Roadblock, that are right along the road, they used to be an actual POI back in the day. In, like, this map says like 1.1, so like super old.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of curious as to why they changed that out. But
Yeah. What
um,
like how did it make a difference getting rid of that POI?
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
like what does it mean when what's the point of the POIs, I guess? And why would you remove one? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It'd be
so
kind of neat
I
to have a
don't
developer on sometime to ask.
know. Maybe it would be.
That would be. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
But yeah, I think that's a good place to stop.
yep,
Everybody, thanks for listening again. Um, this is I didn't mention it before, but we're right in the middle of January right now. It's January 15th as we're recording. It'll be the 17th when it comes out. So yeah, just a couple more weeks and maybe we'll get a new season.
yep,
It'll be interesting.
yep,
But like usual, please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. We like to hear your. We like to see your comments as well. So write stuff in on the comments. We always read them and try to reply to them whenever possible.
yep.
And yeah, and until next time, I'm Doc Anton.
And I'm DJ Spencer.
Stay safe in the Outlands and have a great night.
Yep. Night. Bye.
We're waving.
I'm waving.
We're waving.
I've heard you say you lost your way again. You don't see your reflection, just look around. find your way. No need to go the same. Grab your chance and flame up your dream. I know you'll find your way. You must be calm anyway. Grab your chance and flame up your dream. Flame up your